I played Yoshi and the Mysterious Book for an hour and a half and enjoyed all the ways it aims to stoke player discovery. However, certain objective-based annoyances ensure that it's far from the page-turner it should be. Even more so than the platforming plumber himself, you can always rely on a Yoshi game to provide buckets of charm and whimsy, usually. However, it also wouldn't be averse to say that this particular lineage of side-scrolling adventure has also been some of Nintendo's most inconsistent, at least design-wise, with aesthetics like wool, yarn, and most recently paper, often attempting to plaster over any true attempt to innovate. True to form then, Yoshi and the Mysterious Book's latest gimmick this time revolves around the titular tome, tasking the little green dinosaur and several of his friends to explore its pages while bumping into all the unique creatures lying within it and using each's powers to fully fill it out. In theory, this emphasis on documented discovery should make Yoshi's latest outing a real page-turner. Yet after 90 minutes of playtime, the only thing mysterious so far is how each level's inconsistent goals make traversing through each chapter more frustrating than it is fun. My demo kicked off right at the beginning of the game with the anthropomorphic Mr. Encyclopedia suddenly falling from the sky and asking the nearby group of Yoshis for aid. Doing so means diving into his various blank pages and filling them in by exploring all of the differently themed chapters. Before I even got a handle on how Yoshi controls here and what new maneuvers he comes packing, it didn't take long for me to notice how gorgeous of a game Yoshi and the Mysterious Book actually is. Hand-drawn sketch backgrounds combined wonderfully with a new stop-motion style of animation in a manner that sees Nintendo seriously commit to the bit of making this adventure feel like a wholesome fairy tale. Admittedly, there's a similar degree of invention found in how Yoshi is now able to interact with each world. Eating enemies by licking them up from afar, gulping them down, and then pooping them out into an eggshell is still as satisfying as in prior games, and his trademark flutter jump is once again immensely handy for reaching areas that seem to be just that little bit too much out of reach. In all these ways, Mysterious Book is a Yoshi game through and through then, with the exception that Yoshi can now tail whip creatures up onto his back to take on each one's surprisingly unique passive effects. The first one I came across was a simple flower, which when placed on Yoshi's back will help any bush or hedge I dashed past bloom with a flora of a similar colour. Platforming wise, doing so in the opening level of the Wildwood chapter also meant allowing different kinds of leafy ledges to appear, after which Yoshi and his new floral friend are able to progress and continue on. It's the game's goal to have you discover the bespoke function of each featured creature in ways that are equally natural. Where things begin to become a little less clear, however, is when finding these discoveries isn't made all that obvious, and completing even the simplest of stages can result in endlessly roaming around. This was an occurrence I ran into while exploring the first pages of the fourth chapter, Settled Valley, and was tasked with rounding up a gaggle of Shy Guys. In and of itself, this should have been an easy task, but the creature powers needed to uncover each of them were so oddly specific, there were various points where it felt like a much more tedious challenge than it should be. Sure, picking up a Shy Guy swiftly saw them point into the direction of the next, but it isn't much of a help if you don't know what creature you should have whipped up on your back in order to reach them. What's worse is that Nintendo clearly knows players are likely to stumble while working out each level's bespoke requirements too, as evidenced by a Mr. Encyclopedia hint button mapped to the L trigger, which can be used at any time. The issue is, the hints he provides were either always a tad too obscure for the piece of information I needed next, or he'd hint at something that I knew I already needed to do, just not how specifically. In a cutesy platformer like this, clearly geared towards younger players, I'm already starting to worry that making each level's goal different will cause a lot of confusion. No longer is it a simple case of just make it to the end while having fun. Fortunately, other levels I played during my preview session fared a lot better in terms of explaining what's required of you. One, found later on in Settled Valley for instance, had me gobbling up flying watermelon creatures and spitting out their seeds to take on enemies, while another saw me composing my own symphony using the springy leaf heads of frogs, which would each belt out a different note when leaped on. In classic Nintendo fashion, Yoshi and the Mysterious Book is packed with creative abilities that are equal parts inventive and smart. I just wonder if a handful of them might be a tad too smart for their own good. The final thing that struck me during my very short time flitter jumping through Mr. Encyclopedia's pages is the way you're able to, in a sense, influence Yoshi's various creature discoveries. After all, given you're the first to be doing so, pretty much all of the animal critters you uncover don't yet have names, and it's here where you can scribble down your own suggestion. True, Mr. Encyclopedia always has a fallback name suggestion for players who'd rather press on, but those who do would seriously be missing out on the chance to name a Shy Guy or Floraflower something like, say, Nicolas Cage or any other crazy pseudonym of your own making. It's your own terms you'll see featured throughout Mr. E's pages whenever they're due to show up too, so it's worth getting wild. Sprinkling in some player input like this is a small touch and one that doesn't really impact the core act of platforming, but is still a nice way to make the adventure more personable in a way that makes perfect sense within the game's storybook theme. Overall, I left my Yoshi and the Mysterious Book preview more concerned than delighted about the final game, and that's never a good sign for a game primarily aimed at youngsters. With a unique, pencil-fueled presentation style that's undeniably charming, and a generous number of inventive creature functions for Yoshi to make use of, the Dinky Dino's latest upcoming adventure should be an easy win. And yet, inconsistent level objectives and unclear discovery-driven paths to get there ensures that the road is rockier than one might initially think. Yoshi and the Mysterious Book has all the components required to become a sacred text within the Nintendo catalog, yet the stages I played have so far made it far from a breeze to flick through. So there you have it guys, in terms of our initial hands-on preview impressions for Yoshi and the Mysterious Book. Are you excited for this one? Be sure to let us know in the comment section below. And then, when you've done that, why not leave this video a like if you enjoyed it, and consider subscribing to the All Out Gaming YouTube channel to stay up to date with even more videos like this. Until next time, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.